You're watching Experience Comic Culture and Sales. Streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
2, 1.
Long live the bat. You might guess we're a little excited about Batman Day. Tiny bit. You guys have no idea what you're up to.
At this moment, I'm slightly more exhausted about Batman Day than I am excited about Batman Day, but that will switch soon.
By the way, there's a party happening over in the comment section. The likes I have never seen before. John Preston, Triple B, Eddie, and Phil all hanging out.
Yes.
Nuts. Hi, everybody.
If you're in the comment section, say hello.
That's right.
Yes.
Give some thumbs up and some hearts. Thanks for sharing to your friends because clearly they're showing up. See, this is nice. See how this works? It's time for a Minute to Skim It, where we tell you what's going to be awesome this week. There is a little bit of a thing I do want to tell you about related to Batman Day. There are a ton of Batman free titles. A couple of specific ones they're giving away, and masks that your LCS may have. They would have had to have opted in. Don't be mad at them if they did not. Who knows what their decision-making process is. But if you're going to pick those up, they will put them out whenever they decide. If they're doing a big Batman Day celebration, they may wait until Saturday when the real day is. There are also some special purchase comic books that are coming out that were slated to be out on that day, also on Saturday, but they're also allowed to, if you have an LCS that isn't going to have a big event, they can be putting them out today. So you might be able to go as soon as right now to go get some of these Batman titles that we're going to talk to you about.
Should we play a trailer for a Batman title that's out this week?
Oh, do we have one that we can do right so now?
Yes.
Okay, let's do it.
All right. Let me click the right buttons here. Come on, Kyle. Click the right buttons. There we go.
Be careful. I should kill him. Of course, and if his body down here. What was that? No.
Crazily, that is almost exactly the feelings I had while reading that book. Jump scare.
Ed, preparing for Batman Day is not robbing me of my energy, but you know what is robbing me of my energy? Writing my list for why Jason Todd deserved everything he got.
Oh, snap. Boom. Oh. What we got today? There's a lot of good titles.
Yes. So,
Jay has the controls in it.
I got it.
Do with my hands.
Yes. So, I don't know who shuffled this list, but it's kind of weird. So here we go.
Yay! Alligator Low Key. This is lots of pages and is so adorable. It's going to blow your mind. Okay, so first and foremost, know that this is an all ages comic that you can share with your kids, and you should. B, you should know there are no words in this comic. It's one of those awesome books, kind of like, hey, it's Jeff, which is the shark book, where the only speech bubbles are like also little like emoji icons. And it's fun to figure out what they're saying as an actual action. This has got, I think, like 12-ish 2 or 3 page stories, all tied into each other, so they're not separate things. It's not like an anthology. It's just like, here's chapter 1 of a fun escapade of Alligator Loki and his interaction with all the rest of the characters from the Thor universe, including actual Loki. My favorite ones are the ones that include butterflies. You'll know them when you see them. And this is the first appearance of Alligator Loki in comic book form, so it is a first appearance. And super cute. Super cute. I cannot say enough good things about it. And I think it's one of those things that you'll want to have in your collection for a long time, because you can share it with, if you have nieces and nephews and your own kids someday. Great, great book.
Awesome. Now, what do I have next? Oh, Miss Jen again.
Woohoo! Okay. So, Avengers Incorporated. Great if you like to mix your crime noir with your regular Avengers characters. And this one focuses in here on Janet Van Dyne, who's there in the front. And there is a murder mystery that she is trying to unravel. It's interesting because it kind of in continuity with everything that's going on in the Marvel Universe. This period, it is against the law to be a costume vigilante, which is, all of our superheroes. So she finds herself being tasked with doing this, but without using any costume work or superpowers. And it involves, I think it's 5 different bad guys of some merit who are all kind of like killed while they're behind bars in prison, but they can't see who is doing it at all. Like whatever it is doesn't show up on the circuit cameras. And so she has to try to figure out what's going on. And in the storyline itself, it's interesting. It kind of like rolls it out so that one of the characters that also might end up being kind of someone she's looking at to be maybe responsible party might instead be someone that she brings alongside herself to form this group. So it's a really good mashup of that cool detective genre, a little bit of crazy, almost no super, of course, because you can't do that. Great storytelling, good art.
I have a question for Al Ewing and anyone else involved in this. If Vision is wearing a suit like a person, is that not more costuming for Vision?
Is that
than
Vision?
Regular Vision?
Is that Vision?
I'm not saying it is or it isn't. I'm just saying if you can't be a costume superhero, if you're as a superhero exist only looking a certain way, if you dress normal, isn't that more costuming?
Is this the argument about Superman's like real persona is the Superman character and his costume is as Clark Kent?
No, it's if I'm a Ninja Turtle and I put on people clothes, am I then not wearing a costume?
I guess so.
Okay.
Yes, Cyclops is killing them with pinpoint lasers from Krakoa. No.
Hey, all right. I didn't put all of Miss Jen's books up front. Okay. So I purposely picked this one, knowing full well it was 138 pages, knowing that I wasn't going to read the whole thing. But I enjoyed the Betty Page Alien Agenda so much, I was like, I've got to read this one. In the Alien Agenda, she was a Indiana Jones type explorer. In this one, she's more of a private eye. And in this one, she gets in a little too deep with the conspiracy. And without giving too much away, the first chapter is called Invasion of the Betty Snatchers. Yes, I chuckled
quit.
too. It's okay. No,
That's great.
there are
Kyle quit.
there are like humanoid bees. It was a lot of fun. In the second issue of this, because it is a volume, there's a really cool panel where it's Betty as 4 different characters. 3 of them, I see how they did it, how they got away with it. There's one of them though, I was like, I don't know how y'all got away with that, but kudos to y'all. This one was just, it was so interesting. I'm like, I want to go back and read the first volume now. But I would tell anybody, if you're a Betty Page fan, try to get that first volume. If not, you can pick this one right up. I wasn't confused at all. These Betty Page books have just been great. So
I have noticed a lot of people coming in and picking them up off the rack, which is not a normal thing for that title. Normally it's for pull boxes, and then very rarely do I see someone coming in for them that wasn't already down for them. That and a lot of other titles from Dynamite have gotten some real second life legs.
yeah. All right. Let's see. There we go, Kyle.
Jealous. So mad.
I wondered if you were going to be a little salty about this one, Miss Jen.
Grr.
And I'll be honest.
Inform you.
Well, and I'll be honest, I didn't have time today with everything else going on to give it its full due. I love Coda. This I say unapologetically may be the best work Cy Spurrier has ever done is on Coda. And I love Cy Spurrier. So just know that this is top level. The art is it continues to be incredibly special.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike anything else you're going to see in comics, the art in this book, this volume picks up. I couldn't even tell you how long after we last saw the universe of Coda. But things are largely similar to where they left off. But your main character is sort of in his Mr. Miyagi era. You know, after everything that has gone down thus far in Coda, he just wants to sit by a lake and fish. But the things that make this world unique won't let him. And so he finds himself like wanting to have a peaceful life and can't. If that makes any sense. And that's kind of where this book is. It starts there and it kind of ends there with some action in the middle. Miss Jen, can you probably, because you are selling it more often than I am, can give Clayton a Coda overview? I don't have an elevator pitch ready.
Yeah. So it's been a long time since I've read the first series. The thing that I can tell you that is the most striking about this series is the art style. So the first arc is very blue related in its colorway, and looks a lot like the very best Disney art you've ever seen. Not cartoony, the really good stuff, right? And that first arc, as I recollect, is about the main character alongside what looks like a tiger, but is actually a queen. And they're trying to protect her. I can't remember who's trying to hunt her down. So that's my recollection.
Will you be lost if you start here?
Were you lost, Kip? If you hadn't read the first series, Kyle, if you started,
I read the first series, but I read it in 2018.
Yeah.
Like I haven't read it since when did it end? 2019.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't lost If I had been jumping in here, I might have been a little confused about the universe. But I will say this, Clayton and everybody else, it's nothing that a quick Wikipedia. Like, just look up Coda synopsis. Like, you could get caught up in a couple of paragraphs. I know that, pretty easily. You don't have to read all, what was it, 16 or 18 books in the first volume. Maybe it might only been 12. I don't forget. It's 3 trades, 3 short image trade or boom trades. So, like I said, it's that. That's what I would do. Is if you wanted to jump in, pick it up, but just hit Wikipedia or League of Comic Geeks or one of those places and just read the solicitation and get the pitch for it.
And the other thing you need to know is the main character rides a pentacorn.
Correct. Although,
who's riding who? I don't know.
Well, no, I would say don't get too attached.
Oh, okay. Oh no! Now I'm crying.
Oh no, not like that.
Okay, don't kill them all. No. Okay. Batman and Robin. All right, this is from a girl that doesn't usually read these kind of titles. I like other like DC titles, but not necessarily things that include, a certain dad and son duo. But in this case, this is actually really great. It focuses in on them trying to have what looks like a semi-normal life. Their worry is to try to have them be themselves, and for Damon's like, I'm not going to school, but also I want to try to do things the way I want to do them. And what else was the big thing? I know there's a first appearance in here. I'm trying not to get this confused with the other really great Batman title this week, which is so killer that it might have taken over my entire brain. But yeah, I remember reading to the end of this and thinking this is like a really nice beginning for them together as a team. And great place for someone to jump in if they don't really know their dynamic. This will be very clear that it's not always very peaceful between them. Like father and son duo. Here we go.
We just saw the trailer.
Yes. All right. So this is 100% over the top, amazing art in a book. It's a really long prestige format book. It is part of their Black Label line, and it is part of the release schedule for Batman Day. So they came over the top for this being amazing. So this definitely introduces a new character. I think you probably can find the spoiler for his name online. I've seen it all over the place already. But basically, the story is that Batman is having a really hard time. I think this is the sleeping one. Sorry. There's another really I can't sleep one that's a Spider-Man title this week. It seems to be a good theme. Oh. Sorry, y'all.
So
I remember now. This is the one that has a character that kind of shows up in the shadows, somewhere that Batman's trying to figure out what's going on in the underground, and there's a big tie-in between the bad guy and an obsession with a very violent cartoon character. Think old-fashioned kind of cartoon.
Itchy or
violence.
scratchy?
Older, like Mickey Mouse early era, that kind of weird style. I'm trying to figure out. But anyway, when am I going to put it out? I'm going to put it out tomorrow. And yeah, it's like they're just like setting the stage all the way to a big cliffhanger at the end of the book. It looks like Batman is pretty outmatched. And it's weird. The character cries when you see him. Like he has tears all the time. But he's stylized really well. Lots of blacks and darks in this title. But there were a lot of pages that I just really wanted to try to figure out how I could buy them. They're that pretty. So yeah, this is not a one shot. This is the beginning of a storyline. So if you like the darker end of the Batman stuff, like if you're right now currently obsessed with like the Penguin storyline or Riddler One Bad Day, this is going to be your jam.
Oh, awesome.
And just remember, Rafael Grampa, who's doing this book, was the primary cover artist on Berserker.
Oh,
So if you're into that art style,
funny that Kyle mentioned Wikipedia a little bit ago. Because Kyle told me I should probably wiki the game that this is based off of, and I didn't. Lesson learned.
I
Listen
warned
to
you.
Kyle.
I
Listen
warned
to
you.
Kyle. I know. I did get the basic gist of this. It feels like it's set in like the 17 or 1800s, where monsters of all sorts are real, and there are these hunters that are dispatched to take care of them. There's a duo on this one named Abraham and Gretchen, who stumble upon some kind of ritual, and the room that they're in like fills with this mist, and the next thing you know, they're down in the labyrinth. Then we meet this boy whose sister was killed by one of the monsters, and he wants to become a hunter. And apparently he's with Abraham and Gretchen, but when they show the two stories, one says now and the other one says then. And it was confusing to me because at one point the two storylines kind of meet, and it feels like they're only an hour apart. So the now and then thing was kind of strange to me. But outside of that, I thought this was a solid book. I know nothing about the video game at all, but I think this can be enjoyed just for the story alone without knowing anything about the game. So,
okay. So I can help you a little bit on this one. So Bloodborne is a post-apocalyptic outbreak game set in the days of yore. And I say that knowing full well that that's how Phoebe on Friends described olden times. But it's not really, there's not really a time frame set, right? To me, it plays as the 1500s, 1400s, early 1600s. But basically, the first volume is there's a town where they supposedly have figured out how to do things like blood medicine to cure you of what ails you. And people from miles around travel to this town to be cured of their diseases. Well, your main character finds out when they get to this town that none of that is true. And actually what happens is when people get there, they are plagued by an endemic illness that basically turns them into monsters.
oh,
And so you wind up kind of trying to survive in this eldritch horror setting and try and figure out the solution to fixing all these people and yourself.
oh. Monsters and really cool weapons and a good story.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so the comic books have gone from there, right? They've taken the story and expanded and headed outward. So,
All right.
tried to warn you.
Yeah, you did.
All right. This is Killmore #1. This has some really fun bits in it that if you pay close attention, you can really enjoy. Like in the beginning, they have the author page where it's the author, the artist, the letterer, the colorer, the editor, but they have their representations in the book as mugshots, and like their stats are like, Twitter handle and things like that, so you can follow them. But then at the end, there's this note about how they came to have the photo taken. And for the writer, it goes, asked to finish the chapter he was reading before being arrested. Things like that. So there's a lot of little Easter eggs. And basically, it's a procedural cop show. But the bad guys are more than meets the eye.
Ooh.
And I don't know if they're serial killers or space aliens or monsters or demons yet, because they all kind of look like this person on the cover. Not in the sense that they all look old, but
These scary old people.
no, it's a person with that kind of smile.
And
if you know, like, this woman ran someone over with her car and then drove off and has been doing that for years, killing people. Right? There's another guy that they're interrogating at one point who says his name is Giraffe because of his ears, but clearly it's because he has a really long neck and really long nose. Right? So, like, there's something not quite right about the bad guys in this universe that I haven't 100% put my finger on, which makes it super creepy. Overall, I will say this. Max Allen Fuchs, who is the artist on it, does a really good job of creating an unsettling narrative with the art. And Scott Bryan Wilson, who does the writing, does a really good job of inserting details that you may or may not need and leaving out things you certainly know you need. And making you go, wait, what? Pardon my French, but what the hell did I just, why? It's like, I just kept doing that the whole book. So really a fun read if you're into like suspense horror and some of that body horror stuff. Or you're not easily triggered by things like, people being decapitated by cars.
I'm going to say hi to, I'm going to guess at this because my glasses are really bad right now. Ivasan Adventures. I just wanted to say we're mostly about reviewing the books themselves for content for readers, largely, and for style of art. Not so much about the variants. Like, we don't have any images of the variants. We don't focus on it. But I will say for Batman Day on Saturday, we're going to have some killer giveaways that are 1 in 25s and 1 in 50s, etc. So you might put us on your calendar for Saturday for Batman Day. We'll have 19 hours and 39 minutes of Batman content. So,
right. And we don't, Libsand Adventures, we don't have a show or anything where we talk about the 1 in 25s, 1 in 50s, any of that kind of stuff. All of our review shows talk about the content of the books and encourage you, if there's something you're into and then you want to look at those variants, absolutely go ahead and do it. But we don't really talk about which 1 in 25s, which 1 in 50s or whatever should you be buying.
I say buy the ones you think are pretty.
Right. Exactly. So
Creep Show. Who got Creep Show? Was that me? Yeah, it was me. That's a different cover that I saw.
Yeah, it's like, this is one that I'm a little salty about. But go ahead.
Well, I'm sorry, man. We could have traded. Clearly,
we didn't get Creep Show.
Oh,
so like, I'm salty in that I wish I had gotten it to read it.
Creep Show's 2 stories. I don't know if they were always 2 stories. This is number 1 of volume 2. The first one is a super crazy tale in which I will just tell you the opening scene is a guy on the pooper and he poops out what looks like a baby who tells him, take care of me, feed me, whatever. And it becomes this really crazy story. It's the way Creep Show is. But anyway, there's lots of trigger warning, dead babies in that story. And it's so funny. That story was so crazy that I've totally focused on that one, and I can't remember what the second one was, but I can remember it was really, really good too. I think it was about dead bodies. Pretty sure it's the dead body one. I think that's what this image is at the other, they're showing here. Yeah, I think it's, oh yeah, I do remember. It's, this guy is digging down under the earth to try to find, he's a scientist that believes that there was some kind of a super predator that was not big, that would hide underground and then come up and like they find in the fossil record for trilobites the same exact like almost proboscis hit that killed like 80% of them. And so this is him like being obsessed with that idea and kind of gets another guy involved in it. And it turns out to be super creepy, of course, and bloody and scary. It's perfect.
Awesome. Let's see. All right. I vote Jay doesn't mix these pictures up next week.
What?
I vote I just have to give you the algorithm.
Yeah. So, Negaduck, I was super excited for this one. The Darkwing Duck series has been amazing. This was really fun. It's Negaduck escaping from a supermax and trying to do a crime. The only problem is the other bad guys / cameos in the books, well, they're already pulling off the crimes he's trying to pull off. So he's got to think of a new crime. And a lot of the cameos in this one haven't been shown in the Darkwing Duck one yet. That was super cool. He then sneaks into another villain that really hasn't been seen in a very long time. His lair, and proceeds to steal his crime that he was going to do before he can do it. Not only does he do that, but he also steals his transportation. So he steals a map and the transportation to get there. And I just got to say, if you enjoyed Darkwing Duck, the humor, the art, and the fact that this feels like I could turn on wherever Darkwing Duck, Disney Plus, I guess, I could turn this on and this could be an episode just like the Darkwing Duck series. Is just killer. You're gonna enjoy this one. The villain cameos are awesome. Don't get me wrong, but even if they weren't in there, the story is just so fun. This is one of my favorite Dynamite titles going on right now, so you should definitely check this one out. Let me find my button. Hold on. There we go. This, I probably grabbed the wrong cover, Kyle. This is the Zenoscope Necronomicon.
This was not in the book. Like at all.
The cover is a lie?
Yeah. I'll be honest, if this was in the book, I'd have better things to say about the book. 72 pages of content is too many pages of content. Look, we all know what the Necronomicon is. Like, we're all aware of what it does and who it summons. With that knowledge in mind, there were a lot of bad guys in this who looked vaguely like buttholes. I don't know any other way to say that. I guess you could also say they look like something you would find deep fried at a Korean barbecue. Lots of tentacles and weird mouths in weird places. The art was the saving grace of this book. It was more pages than it needed to be. It was needlessly, there was a lot of action that was just like, ooh, a thing that looks like a squid is jumping at you. Yes, that's terrifying, but like by the third or fourth time it happens, I would be prepared. So this book struggled for me. I think what it really could have used would be to cut its page count in half or more, and focus on that. But then you'd miss out on some of this incredible art. If you're into fish people, if you're into eldritch horror, if you have a thing for tentacles, this book is for you. If you're looking for something that includes a plague doctor or action sequences that make sense or really a plot that has a through line, there are other things you can read. So I'm going to leave it at that. I got a book that was 7 pages this week and it had more story than 72 pages of this book.
Ouch.
Okay.
Sissy! Okay. So this looks really cute, but it's not.
It looks like Ted.
It's cute. It is really cute drawing, but it's a scary book. So this is about a little brother and sister. That's the little brother right there. Who are super sweet, and it looks like maybe they're part of a single parent family because you only see the data. And he, I think, is struggling with some maybe substance problems because the brother and sister make plans to watch a scary movie, and they, like, the little girl wants the dad to come and watch it with them because he said he was going to, and he says, I will do that after I go to the grocery store. And meanwhile, when the son asks him about that, he's sitting in a dark room drinking a beer and crying. So, not everything's okay. So basically the big twist happens that this teddy bear, who appeared to have just been a teddy bear in the corner of the room for all of the book until you get, halfway through, then shows up and says, come with me, we've got to go. And that's terrifying when you're a little kid. If your bear, grows to, he's not quite a person size. It feels a lot like maybe like really dark Alice in Wonderland, maybe is the best way I can say it. So Sissy's the name of the bear, I think. So yeah, it's dark. It's kind of like the same mood and tone maybe as Stabby Bunny. So if you like Stabby Bunny, this is probably going to be your jam.
Hey, Steve, long time no see.
Steve!
Okay, this is Jay's Sonic the Hedgehog, not mine.
Yes,
Okay,
my
Jay.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
We had to fight over who was reading which Sonic the Hedgehog.
I think we both came out winners. What a fun book. Sonic books are just, they're soul cleansing sometimes. They're really nice to read. This one started out great before we even got to the part of the story that Sonic entered. The first part of this was about a group called the Diamond Cutters. And there's a member, and I want to say a pledge, like a pledge to this group, that think another teammate is someone else, and they're trying to make this person slip up to reveal who he really is, if that's who he really is. Doesn't go as planned. But, I mean, outside of that, it's a cool, fun Sonic story, with a little bit of like maybe a double agent kind of vibe thrown in there. The best part of this one is, no, I have not read the other 63 of these, but they give you a nice recap panel at the beginning that just, I didn't feel like I missed too much, and it was super easy to just jump in and read it and enjoy it. So yeah, like this one right here doesn't really require you to read the issue before or anything, but if you wanted to, probably wouldn't be a bad idea. But you can just jump right in on this one. This one was fun. I really liked it.
IDW with Sonic does a really good job of remembering that every comic can be someone's first. And with their all ages books, they do a really good job of bridging that gap.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. So I don't know what Portland Gear is, but they've partnered together with Dark Horse Comics to publish this St. John book. And I'm going to start with the art on this one. If any of you remember the Nickelodeon animated series Doug, this feels like Doug. Like really geometric facial features. Like noses that are very curved and then they just stop and go straight in. Ears that are kind of pointy, but only because that's just how this artist draws ears. Like they're not supposed to be pointy like they're elves or something. Really kind of angular, really cool look that you don't see a lot of other places. But it also, for my fellow 90s kids, feels a lot like Static Shock, the cartoon show,
What?
not the comic book. Like the art style and the movement of St. John, the hero, who you see here on the cover, feels like Static from the cartoon show, which I think is a super cool little thing to be signaling at. But the story is based on these actual dudes who lived in Portland. And I remember there being news stories and stuff about them maybe in the early 2000s, late 90s, who were like real life superheroes. They would dress in costumes and patrol the streets and like assist law enforcement. This is like that, but now. This guy has taken the role on because he no longer trusts law enforcement to do the job. So he's going to do it for them. And now, not in a vigilante kind of way, but in a like, hey, this old lady, had her purse stolen. Well, I'll track him down and get the purse back. Kind of like good Samaritan vigilanteism, I guess.
Okay.
And he befriends a police detective and a reporter. And that's kind of where this book is at, right? There's some action, but it's kind of like setting up of who St. John is, or really who the main character is. I don't think that's his actual name. But it's kind of this persona, and then like it sets up the city of Portland as a character, which is really interesting because a lot of times comics take place in a place, but it could be anywheresville. Not this comic. Portland is this very important character in the book. And so it shows you like landmarks and things that if you watched Portlandia or are familiar with Portland, you recognize some of them. So this is a really interesting book and I'm excited to keep reading it. Even if I don't necessarily know all of the references or what's going on exactly, it really has me interested in seeing what comes next.
Oh, that's cool. Daredevil. We get Daredevil back. So just to play catch up, it actually does this as a synopsis at the beginning of the book. Daredevil has given his life and gone to heck to save all of his friends, everybody else, from being drawn down to hell by demons. Okay, that's just he was dead, straight up dead, which is why you've seen Elektra in the role of Daredevil for a long time, right? So this starts with him. He's come back to life somehow. They tell a little bit about it, but not entirely. And he is currently living a life of a priest. And he has formed he's got a home for orphans or foster kids or something that's not really okayed by the bishop or whatever that's head of the church. But somehow there is a rich benefactor who we don't know who it is, who has been providing money and or just let him, look the other way, let these kids have good, positive role models. So it's really him feeling like he knows there's this other aspect of himself, but also, I won't want to call it amnesia, but a little bit like that, where he's chosen to take it as a second chance, and trying to, since he is now essentially serving God, he feels at odds with putting on a devil costume, if that makes sense. And that's really it's a very rich book in that kind of imagery of people working through their faith, because the opening scene is him in the cab with a cabbie who says, I'm so sorry for the traffic. It also means I'm not going to be able to say my midday prayer. And in which he says, just park the cab and go, because he's got a place that is on his route that will let him go and he's got probably his prayer mat there. And he was like, just go and do it. So it's kind of cool to like include, it wasn't just, Catholic faith, it's faith. So it's beautiful. And I love it. And this continues on with the big kerfuffle that is focused in on the Enfield gang. The number one, I think, was really, really hot, and a lot of people bought it. So also make sure that your LCS knows you want this one. It's the fallout from, so the Enfield gang gets basically, they get blamed for a bank robbery that involved people getting killed, but it really wasn't them, although they weren't really up to any good anyway because they're a gang, right? So it's them running home to find their significant others and try to leave, but blood follows them everywhere they go. So if you like really good westerns where it's a big shoot 'em outs a lot and lots of body carnage, this is really great.
I always feel like when I see that Texas Blood books, that they should be written by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips and be part of that whole world, just because of the art style and the storytelling.
This is just imagine this happened in the 1894, and then jump ahead 100 years, and then you can imagine Brubaker wrote it.
But that's what I'm saying. It feels like it's all that same universe. So.
Yeah.
Okay. So this has kind of become Law and Order Gargoyles.
Bum bum.
Not necessarily a bad thing, but Goliath is still in jail, and feels like Goliath's been in jail for most of this book. But in this issue, he's getting his day in court. This feels like it's a courtroom drama with the gargoyles. The thing about this series is I think it would have benefited being set a little after when the cartoon ended, because for hardcore fans, most of us are going to love this because I'm a hardcore Gargoyles fan. But I think if they would have done a little bit after the cartoon ended, it would have been a little easier to rope in new readers and the old ones. That's not to say though that if a new reader, got this, that they wouldn't enjoy it. It's just, it really feels like this is really geared towards the hardcore. We watched all the cartoons in the 90s. We hear Keith David most of the time when we read this book, most of the time. I just think that having a little bit of knowledge of the gargoyles will help this book a little bit more. But again, I would never discourage you from trying this book. It's a gargoyle book. I'm just kind of hoping that we get past the jail part pretty soon, because I'm ready to see some gargoyle action. But where's
I was hoping you would keep talking for a second, Jay.
okay.
I have a thing to accentuate the Gargoyles book.
Awesome. Okay.
Oh, so this is a different cover than the one I saw too for the alternates. So this is from the World of Minor Threats, which is Patton Oswalt's supervillain world. And in the first volume of Minor Threats, what we saw was what you would call D-list supervillains, right? They are the Condiment King and Kite Masters of the world. To stick with our Batman, they are those guys that when they show up in the 1966 Batman, even Adam West Rose, really, this guy again, Clock King. But in this story, the line blurs a little more. Generally, those are people who aren't necessarily powered, but they have a specific set of skills. So they're a lockpick, or they're really good at evading, security or what, these people have skills that make them supervillains. In this volume, people are differently able. I don't know whether or not I would call them powered per se, but they have alternate abilities that make them interesting as bad guys. So, they are things like web feet or claws or things like that that give them an ability as a bad guy, but doesn't necessarily give them superpowers. So it's a new group interacting in that same world.
Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer. You may have actually picked this up from David Crowenson at maybe New York Comic Con or San Diego Comic Con under his self-published title company Kingwood. Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer is currently in development at Hulu, I believe. I got to talk to him a little bit at San Diego Comic Con. That is still going forward. There's also an action figure line that's being made with the one I saw had real clothes on. That looks really awesome. Just know that it's very respectful in its approach to the historical person, but also she kicks some major butt. And not only with demons, I think the first issue I used to give him a hard time. She doesn't really attack any demons; it's vampires. So she'll kick butt of any old thing that she wants to that threatens her or her, I don't know, anyone she's trying to protect, it looks like. But just a bunch of awesome fighting and really, really great art. This is that being printed under what is the name of the company? Massive. Under Massive, which is the printing arm of Whatnot.
Oh, okay.
All right, we're gonna run out of time, so we gotta pick her up here.
This is Star Trek Picard's Academy. This is really great. This is him in his second year of school. He's a little cocksure, a little full of himself. He's got a competitor who is the first in the class. Jean does not understand the need for anybody else. He's like me back at that age when I was like, I'll just do all the work myself because I can't trust any of you guys to do it right, which is truly not the Jean-Luc Picard we see later on, who is all about his team. So this is the beginning of him learning his way. It's really great. It's him truly at the academy.
Okay, Unbreakable Red Sonja. Halfway through this, I realized I've read and reviewed this before. but I decided that I was going to redo it anyway, because now, after not having to read 13 different Red Sonja titles, I see it in a different light. And I appreciate this book more. This is Red Sonja, drinking, violence, sword and sorcery action, with a somewhat supernatural and time paradoxical kind of element to it. This book is a great jumping on point too. The surprise at the end of this might have you wanting more, because it definitely had me wanting more. Good book for me the second time around.
All right, Spine Tingling Spider-Man definitely has a new character in it. It is one of those big prestige format books, so it's a lot of pages. This is the one that has, I think, the best art this week, although it's kind of hard to say that with Coda sitting around and or the Batman book. But this one, every single page is so beautiful. This is the one where Spidey is having a hard time sleeping. And
because all the HGH he's doing.
Yeah, maybe. And there is a
crap
that is playing, like, if you don't like song lyrics in comic books like I don't, then you probably have to slow yourself down and actually read them, because usually I just skip them, but they're important to the storyline, because there is I'm just going to call it group hallucination of this song that is tied to a baddie that is able to affect even Pete. It's pretty dark Spider-Man That's what I'm going to say. It's definitely one I'd pick up. Really great.
Spider-Man needs to lay off the creatine.
Yeah. This is Obi-Wan Kenobi during the years in which he is on Tatooine, just kind of like watching over young Luke. Luke is unaware of him and has a Grand Inquisitor that has made it onto the planet along with, I forgot what they call them. It's some kind of, it's not the Dark Sisters, but it's someone that's like that. There's a first appearance of that character. They're basically hunting down Jedi. They're down to they know that there's not very many out there. It also involves young Leia in a separate storyline, but it's tied together very well.
Okay, again, not the cover I had, so if you don't see this cover, don't worry, it's there. Sonic 900. I got the first 7 pages. This is an anthology, like it's supposed to be like 120 pages. It's a big book that's an anthology celebrating all 900 issues of Sonic. How does Sonic have 900 issues when it didn't start in 1939? I'll tell you, Sonic used to come out more regular than some of these other books did, and sometimes once a week. So Sonic has gotten there. So this has little tastes of everything from all of the different eras of Sonic. Like I said, I only got the first 7 pages. It was super fun, very story heavy. So make sure you check it out. We have 1 minute.
Yep.
So
super
we should just go
fast.
through what's left.
This is Venom. Okay, so this is like big furthering of the storyline. Eddie Brock, as you know, no longer has the Venom symbiote. He is combined with something else that he sometimes is called by 2 or 3 different names. And this is pushing that storyline forward. There's another character that comes into it's that character mixed with Doom, mixed with Kang. So they're all 3 is this. They want to have a way to travel through time. Eddie wants to travel through time, and he wants to have Doom's machine, but Doom won't do it to him, so he tells him that Kang has one he can use. It's chaos.
We gonna stop there?
Show us the last book.
Boom.
Werewolf by Night.
And the big pitch for this is slightly romance, but not really. This is Elsa Bloodstone getting together with her old beau. They just happen to be showing up to the same monster hunt. Really
Cool.
Cool.
Batman Day Saturday, comicshoplocator.com, Batman Day Saturday. We'll see everybody next time.
Love y'all.